At the time, I would like to turn today's program over to Darren Cunningham at Informatica. Darren, you may begin.
Okay, thank you everybody for joining us today, and welcome to today's webcast. We are going to focus on the important topic of integration and really cover some highlights from Dreamforce. Hope some of you had a chance to attend the show and you're recovering and really dig into trying to ensure you get the ROI from the event, looking at Salesforce and all aspects of it. And didn't attend the show, we'll provide you with a few highlights in today's presentation. So, as always, is just an amazing event. I actually like to count how many times Mark Benioff says amazing at Dreamforce, and it was a lot, but there really was a lot that was truly quite unbelievable. So highlights, Metallica played. We had Eric Schmidt from Google, put a very fascinating look at the industry and some of the trends. A lot of this is actually available on YouTube. If you haven't had a chance to go and look at it, I'll point you to where that is. But there's just some really great content, and it was just a fantastic show. So thank you to friends at Salesforce for really finding a way to deliver every year, above and beyond expectations. So I believe there were something to the tune of 45,000 attendees this year. Well, it was pretty fantastic, given that it was the last week of the summer for many of us. So, show and what we saw at Informatica, not surprisingly, but with the theme of the social enterprise, innovation really was front and center, and it's becoming really recognized as a critical enabler to cloud success. For a long time, people looked at some of the barriers to adoption, and security was always kind of the top barrier from an IT perspective. I think really a lot has been done. A lot of the vendors and the industry has done a lot to educate on the aspects of security, and it's becoming less of an obstacle and more of just a question that IT organizations have to be comfortable with. Integration has really become a top of mind priority, and we'll talk about why that is the case and the benefits of integration in today's presentation. So, the energy and the focus on integration and the benefits of integration wasn't just coming from our booth. We had a lot of graphic and great discussions with many of you, and we're really excited about how it all went in terms of just the quality and content of the image, and really the conversations we had with you, and if you did attend Dreamforce, about the benefits and opportunities for a better strategy for integration. But there were also a ton of great sessions. So I added a few here, and if you did happen to attend Dreamforce, you can go and download all of the slides in the Dreamforce org. And also, again, if you did attend Dreamforce, a lot of these sessions will, if not all, will be available on YouTube for people to view. I want to highlight a few of the findings and some of the highlights from a couple of sessions before we dive into a demonstration. So today, and for those of you who are just joining, please do feel free to use the chat panels on the side. I'm already seeing some questions coming in, and we will address those questions in real time as we go through. So we want to make this as interactive as possible if you're attending with us live today. Is to go through some of the highlights from this session. We're going to do a brief introduction to Informatica Cloud, and then friend Mark Murray is going to spend the majority of our time really diving into Informatica Cloud and showing you, walking you through some of the use cases and how Informatica Cloud is able to integrate data with Salesforce.com applications. So in a set we ran twice at Dreamforce, we focused on really what we're calling hybrid IT. And the session was on the Thursday, and due to popular demand, they ran it twice. So we actually ran it on Tuesday and Thursday. And we were fortunate to have three of our really top customers and evangelists and speakers participate in the session. So we had Andrew Bartels from PSA Insurance and Services, with Mark Tyne and Don from TopCon, and we had Mark Silber from Qualcomm. So three accounts, three great customers walking through their approach to integration and the benefits they've seen of using Informatica Cloud. A couple of takeaways. I will point you to the slides again and the video as it becomes available. But I found interesting a couple of highlights from the session for me. There were some really interesting questions that came from the audience about how to integrate with different sources, different systems. But Silbert took a few minutes to highlight some of what he saw as the benefits of integration. First of all, he recognized early on that he couldn't give his users 8 monitors. He had a picture of a user actually trying to really figure out how to work with different systems through multiple screens. And that is really key benefit of integration, this notion of a single view. Give users that single view customer of their products, all the information they need right within Salesforce, as opposed to having them go to multiple applications, duplicate data entry, and duplicate systems to log into to get the information they need. He also spent a couple of minutes talking about, well, does the data need to be in Salesforce in the first place? And walk through what he has created as a checklist to then whether or not data should be integrated and how that integration should occur. Bartels from PSA, the highlight benefits of integration is really that visibility, giving users again that single view of their customers, the ability to cross-sell campaigns in the insurance industry, critical, and then really effective tracking and forecasting for new revenue. So a few interesting highlights, takeaways from our customers in the hybrid IT session. They're great sessions, and I just pulled a few slides that I thought were useful and interesting. They're great Force.com session on integration, and walk through 3 of the main reasons we integrate. The first one, of course, being integrating data from behind the firewall, which is something we do often at Informatica. Being able to have our secure agent go and sit behind a firewall and connect directly to databases, applications like SAP and Oracle, as well as files. Other use cases in terms of integrating with Force.com and other systems for developers who are building applications on the platform, mobile. So really, Salesforce in every session really highlighted this notion of social, mobile, and open as differentiators and key opportunities with the Salesforce platform, Force.com. Great session that I know Mark worked with Yusuf, who presented this session on, was really all about SAP integration. And his demonstration, he's actually going to show how Informatica can integrate with SAP and Salesforce. And in the SAP session, they talk about breaking it into 3 steps. So the first thing, define the process. The second, identify the integration layers, those being user interface, application logic, and data model. And then finally, choose the approach. Are you going to build this yourself? Are you going to buy an integration technology to do this for you? What is the methodology and what are your resources? So this is a great session with a lot of really good demonstrations as well in that session. The highlight I thought useful just across the board for some of the implementation recommendations. This is in a session that wasn't specifically on integration, and I can share all these links, a couple of you who have asked already, because slides, many of them are on, well, all of them are in the Dreamforce org, but for those who didn't attend, many people are posting them on SlideShare, and all of the presentations and videos will be on YouTube shortly from Salesforce. This was really interesting. It talked through kind of these 5 steps and tips for successful implementation. Some of the business process review, building a dedicated project team. 3, of course, is critical to what we're talking about today, being able to maintain control over your data and business processes, to customize and simplify the user interface, and ultimately importantly, involving the users for testing and feedback. Lots of content. If you are, again, using the Dreamforce org, just go to the Chatter tab or use the search to type in integration, and you'll get a lot of information. You can also hear links to the Dreamforce on YouTube resource library. So the highlights that we found, and I'm already getting some questions. In our session specifically, there was a question that was, what is top differentiator between Informatica and existing integration platforms like TIBCO? And interestingly, for the person who asked this question, that was actually a direct question we got in our session, because we had Silbert from Qualcomm, who happened to be a very large TIBCO customer, and I thought it was interesting what he noted. What you're going to see in the Informatica Cloud demonstration is our focus on self-service and ease of use, being able to really empower users to do the integration themselves. And hopefully that'll come across in Mark's 5-minute integration challenge, where he integrates Oracle and Salesforce in under 5 minutes. The speaker from Qualcomm actually noted in the question about TIBCO that it'd take me longer to write my requirements to the developer than it would to do it myself with Informatica Cloud. So the person asking the question about TIBCO, highly recommend you actually visit InformaticaCloud.com, register for a trial, and see it for yourself. And your questions as we dive into the demonstration. So let's talk a little about Informatica at Dreamforce. We were a gold sponsor, so every year we put a pretty significant focus into this event. We've been partnering with Salesforce for about 7 years now, really one of the earliest part in the data integration category. A couple of highlighted at the show. First, we had a milestone that we reached recently, where we are now integrating over 20 billion records, really running over 20 billion transactions a month through multi-tenant Informatica Cloud service. You can actually visit trust.informaticacloud.com to see how much data we're moving on a daily basis. We also highlighted at Dreamforce our new mobile application. So today available on the Apple App Store. So if you're an Informatica Cloud user, and you happen to be using an iPad or an iPhone, you can monitor and manage your Informatica Cloud jobs remotely through your mobile application. So pretty cool, powerful new capability that we announced at Dreamforce. We also announced 6 winners of what we call our Cloudy Awards. I'll just highlight them really quickly. Petco, McKesson, Avaya, Motorola, Novotel Wireless, and PA Financial all received what we call our Cloudy Awards for the level of cloud integration they're able to manage with Informatica Cloud in 2011. So congratulations to our winners. So I want to dive into the product now and really hand things over to Mark to show you Informatica Cloud in action. And to do that, we'll just highlight some of the main integration scenarios we see every day in talking to customers and talking to Salesforce customers in particular. The first is around a customer master or product master integration. So you got, for example, customers and accounts and contacts in an application in Salesforce, and you've got them in a legacy system, and you want to keep them synchronized. Once you've migrated your data to Salesforce, you want to make sure that you keep your data in sync with other enterprise applications. Another very common process-centric integration, we've got opportunities that your reps are working and closing in Salesforce, and you want to make sure that the order information is visible to them as well. So opportunity to order, and another order history, being able to pull data from a financial application and have that visible directly within Salesforce. So with the goal of really driving adoption of Salesforce and keeping your users productive in the CRM environment. So, and Informatica Cloud is architected. Many of you out there may be familiar with Informatica Cloud, but you may be familiar with Informatica's core technology, the Informatica platform. What we did is we built a multi-tenant waste service where you log in to InformaticaCloud.com, and we ask you to download what we call our secure agent. This is a small footprint, an 80 meg download, which is effectively the engine that's going to be doing the heavy lifting, that's going to be processing the jobs, that's going to be moving the data, transforming the data. We then allow you to connect via the web to agent, and then data bidirectionally from a source and from a target with the transformations happening in the middle. And Mark diving into this. I wanted just to remind this architecture, and maybe we'll bring it back as some questions come up when you see Informatica Cloud in action. So before I hand over to Mark, just to highlight on Informatica Cloud and what we've been doing here, we have been recognized for 3 in a row on the App Exchange as the #1 data integration solution. So for all of you on the call who have taken the time to give us reviews, to work with Informatica Cloud service, we're really appreciative of that recognition. Also have over 1,300 companies running Informatica Cloud, and as I mentioned, we're processing over 20 billion records a month, ending over 100 million jobs a day. So pretty powerful volumes and pretty powerful customer success. So I'm going to hand it over to Mark to really walk you through what we're talking about here, and hopefully we can take a lot of questions as we get into it. I'm asking questions about can you integrate with different systems. So keep asking those questions as I hand it over to Mark to dive into the Informatica Cloud demonstration. So to you.
Good afternoon, good morning, folks. And I'm in control. Do you guys talk now? Excellent, excellent. So to have a little agenda that we're going to follow, I'm going to show 3 integration scenarios. We're going to do an SAP to Salesforce, a contact sync. We'll put in some orders, close orders also. We'll do order to chatter, walk through that demo that we'll post in for me and actually post it to my Salesforce org as a chatter. And we'll do the 5-minute integration challenge. And then we'll take your questions as we go through. So we'll just start off in Salesforce and look at our account. So we're all familiar with the Salesforce interface, nice and easy to use, tab-driven. Now click on Accounts tab. And today I'm loaded. Informatica is actually running, and it's waiting for information from different systems to come in. And our first one is going to be from SAP. I'm already logged in. We're going to take a look at a customer in SAP. So this is SAP screens. It's display customer. We'll take a look at one of our customers. Tech GmbH, they're based in Stuttgart, and information about him is stored in SAP. But we have our reps in the field, or customers, whatnot, that want that information in Salesforce. Let's send them over. So I'm using it in SAP, customer over. Automatically, but I'm going into you see it happen. We're going to back. So what I'm going to do is refresh the screen. Now that came through. So in the background, there's an Informatica Cloud process run waiting for SAP docs to come through, and you can see in real time that we just had a customer enter our Salesforce instance. So let's draw our customer for a second. We'll take a look at his information. Okay, we'll let this. And one of the things we have to do is bring in all that good SAP information so that we can go back and get other information as needed or update this record or whatnot. And you can see all my SAP-related action that I'll need to go back into SAP. You'll also a mashup, so the information that came from the SAP system being called from an Informatica process in the background also. So my customer in the field on his iPhone, his iPad, can see his updated information at his tips. So user in the field and working with the customer. So let's actually go through a process where we create an opportunity, and then opportunity we order products and whatnot, and let's watch that process. So I'm going to use the power of Salesforce again to navigate to opportunities. I'm going to create a new, our DF, our post DF sales order. And we'll say next week, stages in position. We'll save our opportunity, add some products to it. Brought a different process, but they're here for us ready to go. We'll pick two of them. Quantity, we'll give it one, and then one, so we're just looking at a small batch. We'll redate. And we'll save it. So now it's out in the field, and he actually is going to win this order. So let's edit, and we're going to change our stage from drop to closed one. But I'm going to click a checkbox. That's going to say P. So I'm going to now in the background it just kicked off an Informatica process. But now you didn't see Informatica Cloud at all. So let's go to Informatica Cloud. Now we can integrate Informatica Cloud into Salesforce as a managed app. So I was on this, if I can do a single sign-on to Informatica Cloud. And you'll see that Informatica Cloud is driven, like Salesforce is, easy to navigate. The first we come into is our home screen, and you get all the different processes that have run in this. But we want to look at what's running right now. And we can and you can see there's a AP to Salesforce create account. That's what we ran before. And my sales order creation process is right now. All in place for me. I didn't have to do anything to actually make that work. Now, send one more customer over so we can see that actually happen live again. We'll send 2005. I'll go back to sales, and you'll see this jump up in just a second. We'll refresh the screen. There we go. Another customer or another contact was added. If we go back, we take a look at our accounts, we'll see a suit of tech, but a different branch. Now, I have to go into Salesforce to get to Informatica Cloud. I could have easily gone on Informatica Cloud website and then logged in as a customer. So I have it installed in Salesforce to do that. Easily go right to the website. I did mention something about 20 billion rows a month. Well, the proof in the pudding, if we take a look at our trust site, so you guys can look at this, this is public. Last night, 120,000, almost 120,000 tasks, 600 and almost 3 million rows of data into and out of Salesforce last night. Pretty amazing numbers that we have. So let's take a back at our order. We're still running, we're processing a couple of orders in the background. We'll come back to that in a bit. This Informatica Cloud is running the plumbing underneath the covers for our integration scenarios. Now,
hey, Mark, question. A couple questions that have come in as you've been going through. Might as well hit them while you're waiting for the process. So, SQL 2008, have you worked with that as a database? How often do you see it? Is it something we can?
Yes, see it more and more, right? Everything's currently 2003, 2005, 2008 is supported, but we're seeing 2003 and 5 being depreciated. We're close to 10 years old now.
And can you talk about real time? The comment that you understand you can do a 5-minute sync. I wonder if you can talk about the REST API and how we can do real time with Informatica Cloud.
Absolutely. So the folks on the phone, when I actually sunk that SAP sales order, can you process off? That was actually kicked off by a trigger. Here it's going right now. You can actually see it processing. That actually was kicked off by our REST API. So if I jump back to Salesforce and I have to go into my opportunity and I post the order, I actually have to click. I check that box. I have a trigger under the covers that's actually kicking off that Informatica Cloud process. All right, so that's an easy way to, in real time, kick off Informatica process. Happens from Source in this case, but you could code any programming language that you have today that actually can handle a REST API.
Now, what about JD Edwards? Was a question about that, and then another question about how agent running on the ERP machine. Does it need to be there for order to Salesforce, or is there some best practice in terms of where the agent should be hosted?
It's like any other integration, and it should be as close to the data as possible. But it's anywhere as long as that agent can see the data and get to it. But again, best practice would be as close as possible to the data. See, if you want to get to, install JD Edwards machine, they probably wouldn't let you install the Informatica Secure Agent on the JD Edwards machine. You would try to get as close to it as possible.
True. Reported. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Sorry.
Not at all. And it looks like my machine just slowed down. Let's toggle over. Yep, my machine slowed down for a second. Any other while this is my internet connection seems to have gone.
Yeah, I'm looking at your opportunity page, so it doesn't look like much is happening there.
Yeah, it's slowing down. So were there any other questions?
So quite a comment about, a lot of people want to know specifically about what systems we can connect with. So other Microsoft products like Navision or Microsoft ERP or Dynamics ERP applications, what do you do with those systems?
We have customer references for each one that you mentioned.
Okay.
So each one. Looks like my connection here is a little slow. I'm going to pop over to my host machine and let's share a browser real quick.
All right.
And jump over to my Explorer. So back into Salesforce again.
It's great.
We'll see what's going on today. Let's log in real quick. But again, the beauty of a SaaS application, that's a remote that I work from, so I lost, it looks like I lost some internet connectivity. Again, I can access it from anywhere, so we'll log into.
Okay, definitely want to, there is some CNET trigger code, so if you can go back into that.
We're going to go right into it. So I'm back into my account, and if we go back to our opportunities, right, and we take a look at our sales order, again, you can tell that it was just my, let's hide our chatter. That's my connection on that machine. So here's our process, right? And I checked that box off, and if we want to go take a look at it, it's nice and easy. We'll go to Setup, and we're going to we go to Opportunity, and you'll see I have a real-time trigger. I built already that does order integration run job, and I have a condition. The order number is not populated, and the closed one condition is there, and I've checked off that sales order that for the SAP sync. It's going to kick off. Now, if we go back to my opportunity, you didn't see this before. The sales order wasn't populated, so that process actually went SAP, created the sales order, checked the products out, and then set the SAP sales order number. Process. Okay, so questions. Now let's take a look at Twitter. So things that I had done beforehand was I sent some tweets out, and I'm going into this particular Salesforce too. So if I take a look at my contacts, my is to grab all the folks that are out in Twitter world that are thinking about Informatica Cloud and grabbing them. And if we take a look at my Twitter tags that I grabbed this morning, Twitter view, and you can see this morning, or just a little tweet, take a look at what Vivian just did. Sales and demo, we can look at her chatter. Every time this record gets updated, you tweet from that person. Right? Real stuff. Let's take a look at Informatica Cloud. Well, let's.
So she actually gave you some pretty good feedback in your demo there, Mark. That was pretty cool.
Excellent.
Watching a great SAP demo.
Beautiful. Go tweet to her. So let's go Twitter. We'll tweet. And let me know you guys are familiar with this. Spelling.
One of the reasons Mark wanted to show the Twitter integration is that social enterprise was such a key theme at Dreamforce. Able to pull in all the different data sources out there, with Twitter being increasingly important, as well as you saw there tying it to chatter, so you follow and have this information available again at your fingertips.
All right, so I'm going to reply to Informatica Cloud because that's what I'm searching for, and we're going to say we're in live right now. I'm going to tweet that. Go to Informatica Cloud, so I'm just going to go to.
So, and people out there who are active on Twitter, feel free to join this tweet demo.
Absolutely. All right, and let's go. We'll log into Cloud, just like I mentioned to you before. Through Salesforce.
So cloud.com. What are we here now, Mark?
We're going to have that Twitter process.
Okay. So Informatica Cloud.
Yep, I went to the wrong account, guys. So this is
someone else, which is a no-no.
Oh, hold on a second. And there's multiple users in the account. Another thing to point out, my account has multiple users in it, so we can actually have a lot of people working on the same operation, same organization. But here's our chat to tweet. Every 5 minutes we have a process that out, Let's take a look if anything's running right now. So this is what's run this morning. So now it'll pick up my tweet in a couple. I've already picked it up actually. But let's look at what it did inside. So that chat to tweet is in task flow. So the step in my process is to actually go to Twitter and get the tweet on Informatica Cloud. And then I take information and I load into a warehouse because I share that data with other applications. So I have other applications that feed off of it. And then my last step is to actually take my data warehouse feed and load it. Right? So it's pretty. So what I've done, I could have done this in one step, taking it from Twitter, going right into Salesforce, but I wanted to have a multi-step where I could actually save the data off and other applications and get it at it locally in-house. So
Mark, there's a lot of questions that are coming in on kind of the basics of Informatica Cloud. I'm wondering if you can just kind of dive into a general overview of Informatica Cloud and walk people through it. And I've got a comment that some people can't hear you, so I want to make sure if you can't hear Mark, please do let us know through the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. I am from New York, so I do tend to speak fast. So I will slow down and I'll try to speak louder. So let's go back. Let's take a look at Informatica Cloud. Darren, do we want to look at an architecture or do we want to do a
walk through? I think let's just walk through it.
Okay, so let's close and we'll go back to. Let's do what we did before. We're going to log in through the app. All right, so I'm just jump into Informatica Cloud. Now, tab driven, and so the diagram is very easy to follow. The first tab is the home screen, and it shows me what's been running. And in this, you'll see I had SAP information processed, and I monitor telling me what's going on at this present time. And there's our SAP to Salesforce create. I have a dashboard that'll look in the health and welfare of my Salesforce data. So measure data quality parameters. Completeness means did in the field fill in the data that they're supposed to, that we expect to? Did that data they filled in conform? Is it a number? Right? Is it an address? I can look at validation of emails, and I can look for duplicates as I was doing here. Services is actually where we do all the work. So you have a bunch of sub-tabs. So synchronization is what I'm going to show next. We'll do our 5-minute challenge in just a second. As you see, I have a set of views, and we'll take a look. I have a lot of different use cases. If I wanted to look at all my tasks, you'll see 8 pages of a whole bunch of different use cases moving data to and from Salesforce from different ways. Right, but our views built out, and we have our Dreamforce 2011 build, so we can see the things that we wish here, the Twitter processes. Then we have replication, which is a super-duper easy way to take the data out of Salesforce with just a couple of clicks. I, as a user, don't need to be a DBA. I can pick tables I want from Salesforce, tell it with my on-premise world into a local relational database, and Informatica Cloud do the rest, meaning it'll create the data in the target database. It'll load data. Second to run it, it'll actually compare metadata to see if it changed and actually modify the target metadata. So if a column is added potentially, it would add that new column into the target, and then it would just get the changes in data, all with just in a few clicks. Is what we just talked about with that screen. Here's my duplicate check. The low free version. And Pass Service is a way to extend the by taking menus or integrations that have been built in on-premise team using our flagship Power Center product and run in the cloud. And you'll see I have a bunch of those too. But let's jump into our challenge. So I have one on my clock here. Let's integrate Oracle account data in Files. So I'm going to click New, right? DF account load. So it's a wizard, nice and easy to follow. I'm going to operation. Where does that data live? Now, as I talked about, this small agent lives somewhere in my enterprise. Wherever that lives, it can see and get to data. And you'll notice that I have a lot of endpoints that I can reach out to. Colon is my ERP across the internet and data catalog. So here are all tables that I can reach into, and we're going to pick our I can data if I wanted to with the multiple. I can do SQL pass-through with this custom and look at the connection. Right, typical connection information. That I can lock that down so a developer can't see that, right? So that there's a lot of security involved too. Now I put that data somewhere. Now say it's going to go to Salesforce, but have to, right? It can go somewhere else because Informatica Cloud is a more one-trick pony, right? I can write this back to other internal systems, and we want to go to our Dream Salesforce instance. Already reached out across the internet, so you can see some tables. But we're going to account object. Records before from any, well, there they are. Next, filter it. Maybe these are all accounts that we've gotten from Sam, right? They're all account records. We'll skip that now. But here's when the rubber meets the road, the mapping. It's already done. He's already gotten mapped a lot of our data for us because things are similar names. And now for me, it's just a matter of dragging and dropping. So we'll bring our postal code to our postal code, our state to our state, and our country, city to city. Nice and easy drag and drop. And then I'm faced with a bit of a challenge. I have one street but two address lines on my source. Simply drag and drop and drag, and while it's automated them. So now I have all the power of Informatica's 150 functions to apply to the data. And let's bring one more field. We need our name field.
Hey, Chance, can you also, there are questions about lookups. I wonder if you can talk about that too.
Absolutely. Just go and get in there next.
Yep.
So you list lots of icons floating around. These are there to help me. I hover over my account name, 75 characters. My target is 255. Hey, that's great. I know it's not going to truncate. You'll see value indicators. It's an external ID. I have a Express editor by clicking on the FX. I have to do a lookup by clicking an icon. So easily into Salesforce, back in Oracle, into server, into a file, where I can get to. I have defined as a connection. Or I can simply click on it, open it up, and so we can just do a quick concatenation. We'll say this is our DRM. And let's take advantage of a function in our character list. That's an it. That'll take my string here and make it mixed case. So it's beyond my user's I will validate. Okay.
So Mark, if users are familiar with Power Center, the Informatica core enterprise integration technology, they'll know the functions. It's all the same. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly, and very similar to Excel-like functions or Oracle. They're easy to use, and there's help all over the place, which I'll just talk about in a sec. But let's just we could right now, or schedule it to make it recurring. Right, and you'll have a lot of options on my schedule tab. So let's pick a schedule someone's built for me. We'll make it every hour. Then by someone in case this fails, passes, or has a warning. We'll set that for now. I have the ability to do pre-commands and post-commands. So things that happen before task and things happen after my task, and then special Salesforce options down here. One I like to do is success file. So this, right, and this is to our Dreamforce view. Let's go kick that off. You'll notice the options here, though. I can edit, copy it, delete it, export to run in the Informatica on-premise world, or lock it out so nobody can change it. Right, hey, folks.
Hey, Mark, question about the pre and post command tasks. What were the examples of why you'd want to do that?
Oh, a lot of great ones. You want to archive the success files at the end of a process, save them in a directory with a certain naming convention that might not be what you want. Right, save that. You might want to do I've done for a customer, they've had a zip file on an FTP drive, so I've zipped the file over, brought it over, unzipped it, checked it as a pre-process. Lots of good examples of things like that. Process ran already, if you noticed. But it already jumped out of the activity. Got loaded in, and let's jump to Salesforce. We can go look at our account data. Green, and we'll see, ordered, and you'll see our silly business rule. Uppercase, now it's mixed case. So move that data around. Now, I just want to back to the cloud second. The one I always like to point out to folks is we are Google world. We can go here and get help, but what can help right in the application? Some support request right in the application to Informatica, so it goes right to the help desk, back to our cloud community. Find transformation examples, and go out to our YouTube channel and see some really cool videos about the different things I can do and I can learn about. And then online help, which is the regular manual with all the functions and how things work and how to manage and whatnot. All at my fingertips.
So, Mark, about the task flow you had mentioned, so being able to string together multiple tasks, can you show what that looks like?
Absolutely, great question. So, when we load data, it's typically not one object or not one process. So, if I go to configuration, again, configuration now, I'm moving from services to configuration. So, this is more about the operational control of the environment. So, here are the agents, so I can get data from, all connections, all of my skills, and then these things called task flows. Task flows allow me to stack things up to operate in a specific order. All right, so then before was the chat to tweet. All right, so it has those three processes. Probably more in line with what we do as users today is load data in specific order, right? And here's an option of loading the accounts, then the contacts, and then the opportunities, right? Prior app in the account has to be in there before the opportunity or the account. It's really easy to build these. I can
so customer master synchronization is probably the most common use case.
Yep. Probably on the order of 50% of the things we see. Of course, the opportunity to order, the couple of things that will happen in there. Product and price book, right? You got to load the product and then link it to the price book. So you'll see that. Matter of fact, you'll see that product price book. You'll see that here too. So I have to load product first, and the price book information afterwards to link it together. So you'll see some use cases that come up, and really easy to build the task flows out. And again, you have us here also, like you would on the synchronization task.
Hey, Mark, clearly, I know we're kind of one couple more things before we just wrap things up, but there's clearly some folks on the line today that are on the call that are using or wanting to use Informatica potentially for a business intelligence use case. Can you talk about the replication service and some of the use cases you've seen for that?
Yeah, so there's a couple of real good use cases for it. I'd have an on-premise tool. Wanted to back up 50 objects, you'd need 50 mappings, right? And then you'd have to maintain them, and then if the metadata changed, you'd have through the whole QA process to do that. So it's a huge ROI case right there. Then there's the reporting situation where people just want the data for internal applications to report off of. They want it handy. And then people that want to back up their source data just to have a copy of it on premise. And
just do that really quickly?
Yep, why easy that is. So we're going to start first looking at our task that we have. We're going to do a little bit because I don't have a database tool. So if we our table list in our accounts, you'll see here with a DF prefix, right? DF. What did Informatica Cloud do that for us? We're going to see that happen dynamically. So we're going to go data replication. We're going to create. It's going to call DF post, or we'll call it BI. Like where that data lives. Really, whatever we can reach out to, and we'll pick our Salesforce Dreamforce. The option to pick all or select want. Most people select, and we're going to select our account. We'll select our contact. All right, opportunity, lead. All right, comms. And next, we'll put it somewhere. We want to write this to. Do we want to go to a file? We're going to have our connections, and we'll pick our SQL instance. And remember, I said DF, so we're going to prefix all with DF. I can include fields if I don't want all of them from the table. Maybe there's over 500. I've seen that happen. I filter the data, and I can schedule it. But most people 1, 2, and save this. That's our DF post BI. Let's kick it off. So the first it's never says, wait a second, stop. You don't have data in that target. It's going to go create that target metadata in that Oracle or SQL database. It's going to say, okay, let's go back and get data, because I hadn't before. Then the second time it ran, it's going to check. It's going to stop and check the first, compare it. If it's a change, maybe I added a new column in a new column in the target database. And it'll go and only get the changes in data since yesterday. So it does all these things in those simple. So
awesome.
It's almost all been loaded. We jump back real quick to prove it. We'll go to our synchronization. We'll edit and take a look at our source. And here, look, there's our DF tables already. So if I DF, and once we'll actually see that it's our data.
Wow.
Right, there's
That's
Dreamforce.
Cool.
Right, there's our Dreamforce load. That's the text we put in. It's easy. And then, of course, I put that on a schedule, maybe hourly or nightly.
It's called it set it and forget it.
Fire and forget. That's what I like to call
fire
it.
And forget. A couple quick wrap up, Mark. I want to maybe hand it back to me just to kind of put a couple slides up to give you a few sources to point to. But doing that, first thing is about we check for duplicates when loading the accounts. That's something that you've seen people do with Informatica Cloud. And then also, how can we handle blob and clob integration with Salesforce?
So, yeah, first question, not directly in the tool, but find on our community site. There are different ways to look for duplicates. There's using fuzzy logic and using exact matching. Fuzzy logic usually has a cost associated with it because true quality. So that kind of functionality. And let me just show real quick in our account load here. We called a plugin.
Okay.
And it's just a lot of functionality wrapped in a box that I can work with. And you look in my plugin list. If I wanted to do an account match to look for the duplicates in an account match, I could do that.
A dedupe account. So clearly, you've been asked this question before.
Yep. So fuzzy matching, and you'll see some account matching. Now, if you went out to our community site, I built some ones that are free. It's exact matching. There's no fuzzy matching behind it, and it allows you to match up to 5 fields to look for duplicates. Pretty neat. And the second question was blobs and clobs. Well,
yeah.
Are we talking about loading attachments into Salesforce?
I suspect that's probably where it's coming from, yeah. Yeah,
you'll actually see that there is a community article on that, and then it'll actually walk you through how to do that. So that is only doable. We have a bunch of customers doing that today.
Okay, great. Well, let's thanks, Mark, for a really detailed demonstration. I'm just going to ask the operator to hand it back to me to kind of wrap things up. We're at the edge of our time, so I wanted just to point you to a few resources before we conclude today's presentation. So back on the to point to is to get you started. This is a true multi-tenant cloud service. So if it's multi-tenant, it should be easy to take a trial. If you're talking to a vendor who says, oh, you have to talk to our sales team and, we'll come out and fly you in some hardware and get you started, then you're probably not dealing with a multi-tenant cloud service. So I definitely point you to informaticacloud.com. Click on the Try It Now button, and you can get started, integrating some data, working with the service right away. So that's the first thing I wanted to highlight. And then, if there's something you can't, information you can't access or can't find, definitely visit, send us an email and we'll help you. But on the Informatica Cloud website, we do links to our community, to our YouTube channel, and to a web of other information. So our goal today was to bring to you some of the highlights of Dreamforce 2011, and we'll be happy to point you to some of the resources we covered in today's presentation. So, Mark, any parting thoughts for folks who are thinking about diving into a trial and getting started? Any final feedback from the guru perspective?
I like what you showed before when Youssef had put that process together. Think about that, as you're making the decision, and definitely go out and try it. Use the YouTube channel, use help, right? Even on trial, you'll get support help from, you could always email me, but you could always email the Informatica support in the process. So please go out and try it.
Okay, and one slide. This is from a great session on SAP integration, which Mark covered at the start of today's presentation, and we have a YouTube demo that he just recorded a couple weeks ago as well on the Informatica Cloud YouTube channel. So I'd like to thank you all again for attending today's discussion and presentation, and thank you, Mark, for an awesome kind of walkthrough of Informatica Cloud. And look forward to working with you right after this call and getting you started with integration.
Joining us today. This concludes today's web conference. You may now disconnect.